Hi, my name is Sherry. That's me right there. I'm the creator of Natural Life soap, body products, resin crafts, and gift baskets. Welcome to my channel, and if this isn't your first video, then welcome back. Hopefully, you'll look around and be inspired to drop a comment, like, or even subscribe. If you do, thank you in advance. I appreciate it. And now it's time to get into today's project. Thank you so much for tuning into my channel, and if you've watched the video before, welcome back. Today I am going to be working on a resin tray, and I'm going to be including a family photo in it. A lot of resin crafters, myself included, finish up many of our projects with a gilding pen, whether it be gold or silver. But on this particular project, I'm going to be using mica in my mold, and that will substitute for my gilding pen. There is one shortcoming to a gilding pen though. If this is going to be a craft that's going to be put to use, it can get little dings and scuffs in it, and that can take away from the overall look of the project. Now, if you're keeping the project for yourself, that's fine because you can always touch it up. But if you're using it as a gift or if you're selling it, then that becomes a problem. The good thing about using mica though is once you pour the resin into your tray, the mica actually becomes part of the resin. So there's no chance that it's going to get scuffed. Whatever color you line your mold with, it's going to be a permanent part of your resin craft. And for this particular tray, I'm using Key West Blue by Mad Mica. And I get these brushes from the dollar store in bags of like 5 or 6. And just as a side note, for those of you that do check out videos on my channel, I'm very grateful. I've been missing for a little while. I've been fighting off the virus, and so I wasn't able to do my voiceovers, and I most certainly didn't have the energy to create anything. I've just kind of been resting. So I'm getting back on my feet, and hopefully I'll be uploading some more content soon. So the bottom edge is done. Now I'm going to go back around one more time with the brush to make sure that there's mica all the way up the inside wall of the mold. I will admit that this process is a little time consuming. It's also a little bit messy, but it's kind of like painting a room. If you do the prep work ahead of time and you take your time with that, then the finished project is worth it. So I have found really if I take my time and make sure I keep my mica controlled, I don't have a lot of cleanup, but it is definitely worth the effort at the end because the result is really pretty. There it is. It's all done. It really only took about 5 or 6 minutes in total. Now I'm just going to use a baby wipe to clean up any stray mica, and it'll be time to start pouring my resin. So my sincerest apologies. I took a phone call and forgot to turn my camera back on, but I'll catch you up on what I've done so far. I used about 4 ounces of each of my 2 resin parts, the resin and the hardener, and I mixed those well for about 3 or 4 minutes, and I added in about a half a teaspoon of white acrylic paint and mixed that in thoroughly. Then I poured that in the mold and let it sit for about 15 minutes. I did hold a little bit of the resin out so that I can color it with the same blue mica, and then I just ran a line at the top and the bottom, and you see me now kind of blowing that around with my heat gun just to spread it out. And how I kind of give it a design is I just use a regular like metal skewer. You can use anything similar to that. You can use a popsicle stick or maybe something like the end of a small paintbrush. In this cup, I used a little bit more resin, equal parts, and I think altogether it was about an ounce, maybe an ounce and a half, and the gold flakes that I just showed you, and I mixed those well together, and then I'm going to run a line right next to the blue line on the top and the bottom using this gold leaf. In this design, I'm also going to be using some blue cracked glass. I got this one from the craft store. I'm also going to be using one that's a pale gold, but you can also make your own cracked glass as well. You can buy the beads from the dollar store and heat them in the oven really hot, like 450 degrees for 45 minutes or so. Then you want to put them in a container and plunge them into ice water, and they will shatter. And you can also make your cracked glass it's a whole lot cheaper than buying it at the craft store. I can't remember who the crafter is, but if you look on YouTube, I think there's a video of somebody actually showing how to make the cracked glass. So this is the family photo that I'm using, and what I did was I laminated it, and then all around the edges I sealed that with Mod Podge. I just dipped a paintbrush in the Mod Podge and just ran it all around the borders of the picture to make sure that any cut edges were sealed. As for putting this particular picture in the resin, what I did was I waited a few hours till the resin was no longer runny. I did want it a little bit tacky though. That way I can actually seal the edges of the picture into the resin. So I'm just using the skewer and running it around the edges to make sure that it seals with the resin. But again, you don't want it to be liquid, because if so, your picture will sink. Now it's time to start adding the cracked glass around the border of the picture. Now, because I didn't wait until the resin was too hard, as I'm placing the cracked glass on, I'm actually kind of pushing it into the resin so that it stays in place. And after letting that sit for another couple of hours, now I'm going to put a clear top coat on. I'm getting close to the end now. Remember earlier I said I was going to also use some pale gold cracked glass. I'm doing that now. I'm adding that to border the blue that I put in earlier. I'm going to put a little bit of blue and gold in each of the four corners, and that'll be a wrap. It's finally time to demold. I left this in the tray for probably about 2.5 to 3 days to make sure it was pretty much set. Then I took the mold off, and then I laid it flat and let it sit undisturbed for another 48 hours just to make sure that it wouldn't bend. I'm really loving all the sparkle in the cracked glass and the gold foil. And there are those beautiful blue edges that, like I said, won't scuff or get damaged because the mica is absorbed right into the resin. And there is the finished product. This is the Manning family resin tray. And I'm really proud of this piece, mostly because this is my family and I love them all. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to check out this video, and please, above all, be well.